Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this presentation from the Theosophical Society in America. My name is John Chianchosi. I'm the Director of Public Programs, and I'm very happy to be with you this evening. The Theosophical Society promotes study, meditation, and service. We encourage open-minded inquiry into the world religions, philosophy, science, and the arts, and we have a deep respect for the unity of all life. Our goal is to help people explore the spiritual path so as to arrive at a deeper understanding regarding the wisdom of the ages. Furthermore, we feel that this wisdom is not limited to any one tradition, and thus we offer programs from all traditions. I invite you to visit our website, scroll down under programs, and there you will find a full listing of all our online and in-person programs that are being currently offered. I'm sure you'll find many to be of interest. One that I wish to mention in particular this evening is the online workshop Empowering Empaths and Sensitive People with Dr. Judith Orloff. This will be on Saturday, December 4 from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Dr. Judith Orloff is a very popular and well-known teacher. I do hope you can join us for that workshop. Now, for this evening's lecture, we have Dr. Valentina Onisor. She is a practicing physician specializing in family medicine. She integrates various systems of alternative medicine into her medical practice. She's a pioneer of quantum integrative medicine. Valentina is also a yoga and meditation teacher. Through a unique system of quantum healing, Valentina inspires people to achieve enhanced physical, emotional, and spiritual health that allows for profound and long-lasting integration and regeneration at all levels. Valentina serves as a teacher, co-founder, and dean of students at Quantum Activism Vishwalayam Institute in India. She is a lecturer at Quantum Academy in Brazil and an acting consultant for the Center for Quantum Activism in Eugene, Oregon. She is a co-author of many books, including Quantum Spirituality and The Quantum Brain. This evening, Valentina will speak on quantum healing. I hope you find this presentation interesting and enjoyable.
Hello, everyone. The subject for today is quantum healing. You must have heard this term, right? Quantum healing as the creative healing or spontaneous healing that many people experience without any medical intervention of any sort. And you need to know that it can also be achieved through a step-by-step creative process. So the word healing has the same etymological root as the word wholeness, right? And this means that healing in the ultimate sense is about achieving wholeness. And if you look honestly, you will see that our existing medical system is rather pessimistic, focusing on disease rather than health. And these days, you cannot even take so-called miraculous healing seriously. You can say maybe at best it was a coincidence. And we try to replace all those miracles with coincidences. So by having this attitude, we try to create a world in which healing miracles are not even possible. Even if in the 1980s, it was discovered this science of miracles, quantum healing. So we have so many names, so many terms for disease, and if not, we keep inventing them. But there is just one term referring to health, right? And we kind of have mostly forgotten how it is to be really healthy. So the essence of the new paradigm of healing, which is brought by quantum integrative medicine, is that one must look upon the physical body as the material expression of the spirit. And from this perspective, the health problems are becoming messages which are sent to us from those higher levels of consciousness, from the spirit, through the physical body, in order to become aware of the level of consciousness of our evolution, right, that we have. Patanjali, a great Indian sage, said that all our suffering comes from ignorance, ultimately. So the ultimate disease, the root disease, is this illusory thinking that we are separate from the whole. And that is what Patanjali calls ignorance. So to heal the disease of separateness, this ultimate disease, is also to realize more and more that we are the whole, that we have never been separated, and that this separateness is actually an illusion. But before talking about this ultimate level, of course, we need to check what we usually call health and disease, and why, and how disease happens even. So health is actually a dynamic condition of the human being, right? And the quantum worldview is saying that we have not one, but 5 bodies of consciousness, right? So disease from the quantum point of view is at least in part due to a lack of synchrony between all these different bodies that we have. Hopefully you know that we are not just the physical body. And the healing would consist of restoring the synchrony. So in other words, any disease is a lack of wholes of the 5 bodies acting as a whole. And any healing is restoring the wholeness. So a patient is sick when his or her body organs are not working in balance and harmony, right? And the same with the mind and with the emotions and even the spiritual level. So although an allopathic physician today would perhaps not see it that way at all, right? But so in the quantum worldview, for true health, not just the physical, but all the 5 bodies of a human being, which is physical, vital meaning the source of experience of what we call feelings in quantum science, mental, supramental or archetypal, and bliss, the unity, they need to be in balance and harmony. Just a short representation of the 5 bodies of consciousness. So from the physical level, the vital, mental, supramental, and sublime. They have special names in Sanskrit, but don't bother about them. Just realize that we are really not just the physical body. So how disease occurs, we have to understand that. So before a disease manifests in the physical body, that takes time, right? And it can manifest unless we correct in time the respective negative resonance that has led to the first respective disturbance, disequilibrium, right? So even if healing can also appear spontaneously, it usually takes time. It's not a quick fix. So taking care of our health and improving it is part of the wisdom that we should all have. And if we don't have it, we should develop it, right? So what I'm saying now is valid also for people which are healthy, right? Because actually the quantum creativity is something which it's easier to be applied while we are healthy, more or less, okay? Not on the last breath, okay? So in the past, remember especially that we were living in harmony with Mother Nature, and we were living, of course, in communities, on the contrary with what happens nowadays when it's so much separateness between people even. So, for example, a wrong mental meaning, or a traumatic event on the mental level can cause a vital energy block at the vital organ, and that eventually translates into the physical disease of the correlated physical organ. So when the patient is taking this quantum leap in thought, correcting the mental meaning, right, healing can occur, of course, and we call it quantum healing. So my mind-body disease consists of also chronic ailments in which the imposition of these wrong mental meanings sets up a great disharmony in our vital and physical bodies. Yeah? Specifically, this wrong mental meaning forces people to forget this higher physiology and harmony, which was already attained by our ancestors. So we have to know, of course, that we cannot correct the problem staying at the same level that created the problem. Yeah. So mind-body healing involves changes in the meaning context that mind sets up for the malfunctioning of our vital and the physical bodies. So the context of the right mental thinking comes from the supramental domain of consciousness you saw. So the ultimate body of consciousness is called the supramental, not the ultimate, because the ultimate is causal, but still it's a higher body of consciousness and it's called the supramental. So, and that happens in the form of the archetype of wholeness. To change the context, to write a new one, because we're mental beings, we are preponderantly mental, right? We have to leap to the supramental. And this leap is a discontinuous quantum leap of fundamental creativity. And this is why this type of healing is called quantum healing. So when you hear about quantum healing, you have to know, first of all, that it is a manifestation of the supramental body, right? So a disease is, again, an expression of a great incongruence. Yeah? In physical injury, the software, when I say software, it refers to the function. Yeah? So the software of the injured organ becomes incongruent with its vital blueprint, and this affects negatively the feeling of vitality of that organ. So this feeling of illness is the expression of this incongruence. So again, if the disease is a creation of a wrong mentalization of feelings, then the incongruence will pervade all the levels, mental, vital, and physical. So it's like we feel something, we think something else, and we act totally another way. And then how do we reestablish this congruence so that the mind, the vital energies, and the physical representations will act in congruence? That's the question. And very briefly put, but obviously it takes work, is exploring this archetype of wholeness to completion and play with the creative process, do, inside implementation. We will speak about this in a bit. So a mind-body disease is a very loud wake-up call to awaken to the exploration of wholeness, to these archetypes, which refer to the highest thinking and highest feeling that humankind can ever conceive. And they are related with our dharma, with living a life of meaning and purpose. You just have to know that. So to be sure, it's like being hit by a 2x4, right? But it's very effective. So when you have this kind of very serious disease, but you don't need to get there, of course. Just very few people have successfully used that in such situations, because often we need to adjust this vital software, and that requires creativity. And it's even hard to change the mind when we are depressed, right? The roots are deep, especially when that depression is prolonged. So we need to work on the creativity of the mind. And creativity, again, is needed, but in most cases, even a very strong and pure healing intention may do in order to open this great package of creativity. So again, we don't really need to be sick before hearing this call of wholeness, because, we can start with health and creatively explore all these bodies, the mental, vital, and physical, or even just the vital physical. There's a whole spiritual tradition in India and Tibet that is based on this idea. Martial arts developed in China and Japan, also they have the same objective. Right now, since we are still at the base to understand how a disease appears, we have to talk a little bit about what we call resonance. So in physics, resonance, a frequency matching. Now you have the tuning force, but it's much more than that. Resonance is really like, it's a very strong law in this universe. So there's always the resonance which is influencing our life as we develop, good or bad, happy or unhappy, successful, unsuccessful, healthy or unhealthy. It's a process of resonance, positive or negative, that affects us. Right? We are always, no matter what we are doing, in a process of ongoing possibilities of resonance, even with the archetypes in our lives, if we choose that consciously. So we tune in with different energies, positive or negative, or not tune in at all, right? So it's kind of a melodrama is when we forget it and when we are not aware of our negativity. And sometimes we think that the universe is turning off, the resonances are switched off, and nobody's watching and you can do anything you want. And it's not true, because no matter what we are doing, even when we are sleeping, right, we are in a certain process of resonance. Even those dreams will reflect these resonances. That's why we recommend also having a journal by the bed and eventually even analyze those dreams. It's full of Jungian symbols. So resonance. The process of initiating and amplifying a vibratory response in a receiving system attuned to an emitting system. The frequencies have to be close or identical, and it's a non-local transfer. Okay, and so it really works with everything, with the food, with our body positions. If we keep our body position in this way, we will eventually become depressed. If you keep yourself with the back straight and standing, eventually you will be able to perceive even this energy specific to Manipura chakra and increase self-confidence. For example, an asana, a yoga pose, for example, is putting you in resonance through the shape, through the meridians, through everything, with certain archetypes. Okay, we have all kinds of examples in nature, the pyramids, the people which are talking about healing processes with using pyramids, mandalas, yantras. You heard about Masaru Emoto. The first picture is, maybe you heard about Masaru Emoto. So he speaks about crystallizing water at very low temperature. And the message, it's even, you can write a label on the bottle of water, or even at least send a mental thought. The first picture, love and appreciation. The second picture, thank you. And the third one, you disgust me. The same reaction happens, and it was done experimental with music, the music that we hear. Imagine all these thoughts, all these negative emotion brain circuits, which we keep ourselves in resonance with, what they do in our bodies, in all the bodies. And the same, the main resonators of our being, of our lives, are the chakras. And we speak about the main 7 chakras in a bit. All right, so vital body medicine in the form of Reiki, you heard about Reiki, yoga, herbal medicine, acupuncture, homeopathy, they all provide us with examples of restoration of wholeness via what we call situational creativity in the vital arena. And that involves vital energy movements. You heard for sure other authors describing about what we call the wisdom of the body, our own healing power, and for example, what is called an innate potential for maintaining health and overcoming illness. So I think that maintaining health is a characteristic of our conditioned systems, body energy, body mind trio. And we can think of this even as our placebo power also. So what happens in this kind of healing? For example, this Reiki healer's energy, or the vital energy of the herbs, or the homeopathic medicine, the somewhat random vital movement in the case of acupuncture, and the vital energy awakened through yoga, they all become potentialities to mix with the existing potentialities, generating many new ones in our unconsciousness for consciousness to choose from. And our healing intention or placebo power is enough to activate the unconscious healing choice. So back to this mind-body disease, wrong mental meaning produce a vital body energy block. And that produces dysfunction of the physical organ correlated with it eventually, if we don't do anything about that. Yeah. So we cannot heal the wrongness of the mind by staying at the level of the mind. And this is where we have to use what we call fundamental creativity. And that means to discover a new representation of this archetype of wholeness. When I say wholeness, it's about health. It's about really integrating all the paradoxes that we live in, kind of all this split state. And then we provide this new archetypal context of mental meaning. So again, this involves exploring the archetype in suchness, not by somebody else's representation of it, how we have the tendency sometimes because we are lazy. So there is a great evidence of spontaneous healing with little or no medical intervention. So there are examples of spontaneous creative quantum leaps of healing also. And this wrong meaning spontaneously will give way to clarity over creative insight to heal the vital energy block. And the immune system, for example, will be restored with such a force that even overnight, the healing can happen. Deepak Chopra, of course, he called this kind of healing the result of a quantum leap and the term quantum healing. Yeah? So if it is a quantum leap, indeed, this protracted creative process should produce the same result, right? You can find more in the book written by Professor Amit Goswami, The Quantum Doctor, and you will see many, many reported cases. And soon, more details on the subject on our upcoming book, which I'm writing now together with Professor Goswami, Quantum Integrative Medicine. So such quantum healing can be used as a healing path to spirituality by not only the patient, but also the physician involved. We have in our university, that we are happy to have it nowadays, a lot of doctors which are attending our courses. It's a master and PhD university. And they really want to understand what they can do as doctors in this process. So the patient's case is obvious, provided the patient is willing to make lifestyle changes, which consist of integrating the various conflicts of life that produced his or her disease in the first place, right? So that integration is obviously a preparation for further exploration of this archetype of wholeness. But also, again, most healers come to this profession with a deeper intention than doing a job, although this is somewhat hard to conclude assessing allopathic medical practice today with doctors bogged down via rules and so many regulations and fear of malpractice. Yeah, I know it's difficult. But again, healers and most allopathic doctors included want to heal themselves to a higher level of wholeness that they currently live. Yeah? So they too are exploring the archetype of wholeness if they are in this profession for good reasons. So in this way, what happens is that if the patient and the doctor explore this archetype of wholeness and living in an integrated way together, such as a research project, like between a professor and a graduate student at the university. So if they are what we call correlated, they both will feed new seeds of potentialities to their common, non-local unconscious. And the seeds will expand via unconscious processing and become new pools of possibility for consciousness to choose from. And fundamental creativity in that way can happen. And the entrance requirement for the non-local unconscious of previously uncollapsed possibilities is to achieve this quantum correlation between doctor and patient. And that requires a major change of the current trend of a simple hierarchical medical care where the doctor dictates everything. And this simple hierarchy has to give way to tangled hierarchy. So again, these are quantum principles we'll describe. So for the healer, for the doctor, the purpose of the creative venture of healing is to discover this tangled hierarchy of relationship with people, no less than that. And this is why you can also call this the healing path to spiritual transformation. Because again, this kind of doctor will not feel tired at the end of the day. And he will truly heal himself or herself together with the patient coming towards him. I had this experience when I was myself in a situation when my immunity was down, and I just started to have people coming towards me, and I could really reflect. It was very interesting, the process. I could really reflect every single day by working with them what was happening inside of me. So it was a beautiful process. So for the healing, again, we have to really boldly recognize the healing power of consciousness and of downward causation with freedom to choose. So consciousness has the requisite wisdom in this supramental compartment and also the mechanism to choose this new context for mental processing of emotions. It also has the power to discover what is needed to make the quantum leap of insight. And it can manifest the insight by unblocking the vital feeling at the affected chakra, for example, chakra medicine, and unblocking the movement of the associated vital blueprints, and also reviving the correlated physical organ with proper organ function. So in this way, a spontaneous remission in this way of looking at things is the result of a creative insight, of our ability to choose the healing path out of the so many possibilities generated by this unconscious processing. And this choosing is the work of downward causation of quantum consciousness, in other words, God. So when we heal from a disease via situational or fundamental creativity, physical or mental, you are exploring already the archetype of wholeness. So the archetype of wholeness is commonly the objective of exploration of the profession of health and healing, mental and physical, at least to a minimum extent. And this archetype of wholeness is much more than restoring physical health or even restoring mental health in the way that we usually understand it. Because looking at health and healing through the worldview of quantum physics immediately endows the healer and the patient with this power of downward causation, with the potential power of choosing health over disease. And what remains is to learn the subtleties of this exercise, of this choice, right? And when we do, we find out that such self-healing is traditionally called a healing by a higher power, spirit or God, because it takes you out of your ordinary separate cocoon of existence towards a holistic, non-local level of being. All right. So now let me get a bit into the process of fundamental creativity in healing. So what we call wisdom of the body is an example of self-healing, right? So all we need to do is keep the healing intention pure and active, and we'll discuss what is that. So to truly manifest this capacity, the entire program of creativity, going through all the stages of the creative process, which ends, again, in no less than a quantum change of context of one's living, it's essential. And to make the healing long-lasting, one also has to live up to the insight gained and institute the new lifestyle. So since this new insight that we look for, it's about an archetype, it should also be approached from the vital plane. Yeah, remember, we have 5 bodies of consciousness. One of them is the vital level. So for engaging the vital creativity, the patient needs to learn how to work and concentrate on the chakra involved in the disease where the energy is blocked. So what are chakras? They are places where we experience the feelings associated with the collapse of the physical vital hardware software. Yeah, so physical hardware, vital or function software of the most important organs of our body. So the main 7 chakras are there. And this vital software correlated with the physical organ is universal and is common to all humans. You must have heard about Rupert Sheldrake, who came with the term morphogenetic field. And Professor Amit Goswami, he added liturgical fields precisely to add about the function of these fields and the vital software of the body organs. So chakras and vital creativity, they play a huge role in vital body medicine. So the main 7 chakras, right? So instead of staying in a victim state, what is happening usually, because we live kind of passive and in a very reactive mode, very much reactive mode instead of acting, or having a belief that they are getting some sort of healing from somebody else, as in placebo effect, the patients or anybody which is in a situation that needs healing should learn to operate under the conviction, which has to be a burning one because of the urgency of the situation, that they already have the software, mental and vital, for healing in potentiality which they need to discover and manifest. So that's the role of the doctor. The doctor needs to inspire them to create that kind of expansion that the patient is willing and is burning to discover this potentiality of self-healing. Yeah? So the creative process consists of 4 main stages. So the first one is preparation. And it's a complex stage, of course. And I will describe. So the second one is about unconscious processing achieved when we relax and quantum possibility waves of archetypes, meanings, and feelings can expand and grow, producing new possibility. Okay, and then the third main stage is the quantum leap of insight, when we choose a gestalt of actualities from all the possibilities. Okay, and the fourth one is manifestation, the immediate change of the affected software to higher function, followed by lifestyle change, for example, as according to the new insight. So the first step of creating healing, as I said, is preparation. And what's happening in preparation is that patients are encouraged to research their disease with a lot of help of the physician, of course, which acts more as a collaborator in that case, and they meditate on that. Okay, so such meditation will show the patients, for example, their level of stress or how their habits of mentalization of feelings and suppression or expression of emotions, as the case may be, contribute to the disease. So they also see what negative resonance, for example, they have maintained in time. Yeah. So one of the root causes of emotional stress accumulation will also become clear. It's a lot of do. It's a speed, hurrying and rushing, right? Following this trap of desires, never-ending desires, and accomplishment, orientation, all these anxieties, and even this passive daydreaming. So again, the first purpose of the preparation is to slow down the mental and vital conscious processing and to create an open, receptive attitude that is an essential step towards any creativity, okay? So example, we have nowadays lots of crises, ongoing crises, one after the other, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of hidden depression, this syndrome of permanent fatigue, tiredness, or stress. So it's a system problem. Yeah, it's not localized, cannot be measured easily. Yeah, it's not like you check an organ or a bacteria. So I don't know if you know, but according to the World Health Organization in the 90s, stress directly and indirectly relates to illness. 70% of all illness have at the base stress. Okay, so we need it's like when it's a systematic error that can be eliminated only by systematic understanding and to understand how that works. So anyway, in this preparation phase, we have to really be honest about all these resonances and the lifestyle or nutrition point of view or relations or lack of forgiveness or whatever was there, and honestly see how that has led you to a state of contraction and eventually disease. Now, at the next stage, the patients and doctors, they try various techniques of mind-body medicine. Yeah. So this is also the stage of creativity in which we use what we call unlearned stimuli to generate previously uncollapsed new possibility waves of the vital, mental, and even the supramental, where in the supramental level, we speak about the intuitions. So eventually we have to trigger these intuitions. Unless this happens, the creative process is not really truly started. Yeah. So in other words, again, this stage is the combination of alternate preparation and incubation. So kind of you prepare and you try to see what is the cause of the things, and incubation. So learning to also relax, yeah, be attentive and truly relax. Do. Yeah. So let me explain what is this do about. So the quantum worldview comes with this creative process that agrees with empirical data and gives also this viable technique. Yeah, it's a whole technique for both outer novel accomplishments and inner psychological and spiritual transformation. So the essence of this creative process, do is this. So do means focused engaging with whatever you're exploring. Yeah. And be is about relaxing, doing nothing. You know, so this divergent thinking you generate in the do phase, and that is processed in the unconscious. So alternative do and be will result in convergent thought, in an insight eventually. But however, again, the insight comes as a discontinuity of thought, a quantum leap, which you follow through with the manifestation of an outer product or an inner new you. So in this way, our intuitions and following them up with quantum creativity is the secret, the real secret of manifestation. Yeah. And then you can really speak about creating your own reality. Yeah. And in this way, we can choose health instead of illness. We can choose happiness instead of suffering. And we can choose wholeness instead of being fragmented in ourselves. Okay. And of course, we can apply art therapy, Qigong, Tai Chi, even dancing with healing intent, and even better, and my favorites, which are the certain yoga postures, together with visualization, suitably designed with evocative healing archetypal images, which will accomplish the same thing. That is, again, to produce these new possibilities of vital feelings and mental thinking for consciousness to choose from. And we have developed a transformational program, which is called Quantum Yoga. It's not really about only Hatha Yoga. It's a way of living. And a big part of it refers to health, maintenance, and healing. So, and the overall goal of Quantum Yoga is the ability to live and act from expanded, inclusive states of consciousness. So, what happens next is that sooner or later, a trigger precipitates the quantum leap of insight. And spontaneously, a new supramental context and the vital mental gestalt that represents it appear manifest in the conscious awareness. So the insight leads to the corrective contextual shift of how the mind handles emotions. And the initial manifestation of the insight begins at once, and you're freed from all the shackles of mentalization. Yeah? And the liturgical fields, the software programs, and the organ itself, they become functional once again at a healthy level and sometimes very, very fast. So the use of the creative process makes this kind of quantum leaping available for every patient sooner or later. Yeah, for example, the immune system malfunction, which is due to faulty vital and mental processing, excessive mentalization or intellectualism, suppression of love energy of the heart chakra, I would say mainly. And also, of course, it's related with the digestive system. So a quantum leap to the supramental comes together with the shift of mental meaning and the unblocking of love energy at the heart chakra. And this then can have the desired dynamic effect on the immune system in the form of reactivating this software program and, for example, getting rid of cancerous cells very, very fast and very rapid healing. There are cases, I had cases of women with breast cancer, which went through very deep processes and not necessarily short processes, but they went through very successfully in this way. And the final stage of the creative process, which is called manifestation, is not complete actually with only the reactivation of vital programs that are needed for the normal functioning of the organs, yeah? Because we have this vital and mental characteristics which are still there. And after the remission has taken place, the patient has to bring to manifestation, of course, lifestyle changes that are commensurate with the shift of context of mental processing and the processing of feeling if the remission is to be stable and permanent. Yeah? So, for example, a lifestyle that produces excessive intellectualism and defensive reactions has to give way to a more balanced one that allows love to manifest regularly. It's very interesting because in the process of transformation, usually we have, especially when we are in a hard situation or a hard period, we have the tendency to say, yeah, okay, I'll do this 1 month or 6 months, but then that's it, you know? So we have to also get used with this thing that transformation is a continuous process. Yeah. So the purity of healing intention is crucial for quantum leaps of fundamental creativity, for all creativity actually. So our creativity, otherwise it's elusive because our intentions are so conflicted and so confused. Remember, we have this monkey mind and we choose something, then we choose something else. We don't really choose it with all our power there, yeah? So what can resonate in the higher levels of our being so that something is producing in that way, right? If we keep changing and changing and changing. So the good news still is that we can do a practice to develop this power of intention, and that consists in several stages. So it's about intention of healing. Yeah. So whenever, especially when we are in a situation where our health is deprived for various reasons, or we are suffering, we need to manifest constantly this pure intent, right? And how to do that? So we start making the intention of healing from our ego. Yeah, this is where we are. So that is, we intend the healing for ourselves, healing for your particular disease. And then second, so you sit with the back straight and you manifest this intent from your heart. And then second, you allow this egoic intention for healing yourself to be generalized to the intention of healing all. So after all, of course, if everyone is healed, you are also included. But that's an essential step, so just see how it feels. If you cannot really do it, you're not there yet, it's fine, no problem. But eventually, when you can do that, it's already a switch there. And then at the third stage, you allow your intention to become more like a prayer, like let the healing take place if it is in accordance with the purposive movement of consciousness. And then in the fourth stage, you allow this prayer sink into silence and become a meditation. You will discover many, many things in this process of quantum healing about yourselves, depending on what kind of creativity has to be used, especially if it's fundamental. Together in the process, you will, in the process of creating the positive emotion brain circuits, such as forgiveness, love, gratitude, understanding why we are here, you will become also humble. So all these positive emotional brain circuits, when you are working on them consciously and creating them, even if they kind of, the negative emotional brain circuits, they are 5 times stronger embedded in our brains, and still it's our task and responsibility to create these positive ones, yeah? You will see that the reward will be so special, and you will discover this new you in a totally unexpected way. So first of all, you have to really go under this profound introspection and do your best to discover honestly the cause, the resonance, which eventually took you there. Okay, become aware of all this blah, blah, blah of the brain, work through mental hygiene, and work truly conscious to put yourself in a positive state of resonance. Okay, and then the creative process, which includes all that we will mention again step by step in a bit. Mental hygiene, visualization, work on the compensatory resonances, forgiveness, Ho'oponopono, whatever it's as appropriate therapies, yeah? Whatever you can work with your doctor. And of course, eventually learn about the supramental meditation, learn about ways to trigger this kind of experiences, because this is where the real healing takes place, actually. And then eventually go towards this fundamental transformation in lifestyle and character. And again, as part of your self-check, kind of see about some of these negative emotional brain circuits, such as those which are on the screen. These are just some of them. And the creative process, again, the main 4 stages, briefly put, it's preparation, it's incubation or unconscious processing, it's the insight, the quantum leaps of insight, and then it's manifestation or implementation. And on the background of all of this has to be this do-be-do-be-do process, which I described, okay? Now, in the background of all these 4 main stages, we will talk a little bit about the 7 I's, just briefly, because, again, remember that I just said that the creative process is truly starting once we have these intuitions, yeah? So when the intuitions start to manifest in our life, it means that we are in the creative process. Until then, we are still in the part of preparation. And in the same way, making use of inspiration and intent, that's also something which tells you that you are in this process. But these ones, they should be part of the way we are living anyway. So if we forget about having these basic I's in our lives, we keep ourselves away from these wonderful sources of expansion of consciousness, right? And kind of we live in a dull life, okay? So the intent really should be there. The more you have a direction in life, in the same way, moments of inspiration should be there. And if not, it's kind of, you cannot fake these ones. You can prepare yourself in a mental way and eventually get to the creative process, yeah? So it's kind of from wherever you are, this can be done. Just you need some spark of inspiration there. If not, you will not start anything for real. Okay, so the 7 eyes. So the first one, inspiration. Again, that's why you go to a doctor. That's why you go to a teacher. That's why you do a course, which is inspiring you to transform, because there's something there which takes you from a contracted state of consciousness towards an expansion. You feel to manifest yourself free, spontaneous. Things are easy. For example, you're in love, okay? And how easy everything feels when you're in love, for example. Love, of course, is my favorite archetype. So it takes you to a new meaning and without any reason. Nature, for example, a wonderful sunset can be such a trigger. All right, then intention, I just told you the steps. It's very, very good to understand the steps, how to manifest an intention and why it has to be pure and strong, and eventually you train yourself into getting to this kind of strong intent, which when you're able to really do it, a lot of the problem is already done. But I told you the main problem with us is that we have with these monkey minds. And then intuition, when we speak about intuitions, of course, they are manifestations of the supramental already. For example, again, heart experience, what we call the spiritual heart, actually, that state when you are completely at home. That's a gate for the supramental. Or working on the third eye, that can be in the process of preparing to trigger this kind of intuitions. But of course, again, they are manifestation of the supramental intelligence. And when we speak about the supramental, it's supramental. You cannot force a supramental experience. You can, for example, you can clean the windows, you put the shutters up, but you cannot force the sun to come in the room. That will happen in the appropriate time, in the appropriate way. Yeah? But we can truly, and we should, prepare. The fourth eye, imagination, it's a do. So some are do, some are be, some are manifestations of the ego, some are manifestations of the self. So focused imagination with the supramental, opening us to perceive a higher realm that we usually don't perceive, okay? For example, working with our guardian angel, for example, or other examples of visualizations you can do. Amit told me about the case of a woman which after a session of dancing, she was guided by the therapist to visualize a block of ice in the area of the chest and to visualize how this block of ice was melting, and together with that melting of the ice, all the suppressed feelings, all the pain and all the tears which were blocked, they were dissolving. And she did this, I mean, I think it took her maybe 3 or 4 hours. And after that, she just said that she was healed. So it was a very special moment for her. But again, so what we can do is preparation. And all these moments of insight, for example, you know, or the quantum healings, the quantum leaps of healing, they happen, again, we don't know when. They are totally unexpected. That's why we call them aha moments, okay? All these revelations, they come always in an unexpected way. Okay, incubation, the fifth eye, you see the bird sitting on the egg, it's unconscious processing, it's about deep relaxation. For example, walking in the nature, of course, learning about relaxation and awareness, which actually there's a very dynamic game between them. Yeah, it's a switch on, not a switch off. Methods like yoga nidra can help in this way. But then eventually, of course, like usually we are so tense and stressed in the mental level, and there are many ways to work with, but it's essential, because if not, we just destroy ourselves as machines. Okay, and the inside, it's like a thunder. So we cannot practice the inside, of course, but again, we can prepare. One of the ways is what we call awareness meditation. And the more we practice this do, also, and then is the implementation. When it's or the manifestation, because again, many times, especially women, have intuitions and even insights, but we lack the power of manifestation. Why? Because of the lack of Manipura chakra, the navel area, which usually we don't have it developed or harmonious. Yeah, I'm not speaking about the feminist women, speaking about women, because I mean, it's not that we have to become feminists, but we need to develop that self-trust and self-respect, which many times you see that naturally in men. Okay, so if you see, and the men also, they love how they look. They don't have these problems. And women, you know, we are so self-criticizing and not having self-respect and the courage which is there. And again, that comes with this fire of manifestation. So if we lack that fire, we cannot do anything in life. We need to develop that in a harmonious way, because also this level of Manipura chakra is related also with living in a way of integrated will, you know, so kind of it comes together with a healthy state of humility. And in the same time, again, it's kind of, you can say, like living in harmony with God's will. It's also there. And now we need to understand a little bit the underlying causes for organ dysfunction, because the cause could be at the mental level. For example, the mental suppression of feelings at the heart chakra, which will cause the suppression of the immune system program and, for example, cause cancer. Or the cause can also be at the physical level, like, for example, a defect of the representation-making genetic apparatus of the body. And the third possibility is that the vital blueprints, or, for example, the immune system programs, no longer work because the contextual environment of the physical body has changed. And of course, we cannot fix this by simple techniques of vital body medicine outlined before, because of the contextual leap which is involved, you know. And what we have to do is to invoke the new vital blueprints for the same vital functions for coping with the new context. And for this, again, we need the guidance of the supramental. So we need to make a quantum leap from the vital directly to the supramental, bypassing the mind. So the supramental, again, is the reservoir of the laws of vital movement and vital functions. And there is a whole probability distribution full of vital blueprints that consciousness can use to make representations of the same vital function. So we use the quantum leap of creativity to the supramental in order to choose a new vital blueprint to make form that fits the new context. And then this new vital blueprint then enables the creation of new programs to run the physical organ level, or even to rebuild the organ itself, regeneration, right? In order to carry out the required vital function. Okay, so one problem is that few people today have access to their vital body movements. And of course, we can, let alone taking quantum leaps in the vital arena. So again, huge preparation is needed, and perhaps even more rigorous than in mind-body healing. And the purpose of the preparation stage is to develop, again, that purity of intention of healing, yeah? And to slow down the vital body that has to heal, and to create an openness and receptivity towards feelings. So, of course, there are techniques of slowing down vital energy flow, pranayama exercises, for example, and Tai Chi movement, China, right? How do we work to open up at the feeling level of our being? Through intimate relationship, forgiveness, love. So also this may involve even allowing your partner to express feelings freely. At many levels, we are blocked even in that. In intimate relationships, of course, which are actually a great help and a great mirror in our transformation if we want to create such healthy relationships. So then again, the patients and doctors, what they will do, they will try various, again, new techniques. And again, so what we do, we have to wait for supramental intelligence to descend and create the same kind of revolution at the feeling level as the creative insight at the mental level does for mental thinking. Yeah. So the effect of the quantum leap, the revolution, will be the coming into existence of new vital blueprints and programs to help consciousness to rebuild even a diseased organs and programs for its carrying out the vital functions. But since our feelings are related with the functioning of the programs that run the organs, so as the vital programs begin to run smoothly, there will be an unblocking of the feeling at the appropriate chakra, which corresponds to what was once the diseased organ. And this unblocking of feeling at the chakra comes with such force that is called the opening of a chakra. Okay? So for example, again, if cancer at the vital level is healed in this way, through love, forgiveness, and other things, the heart chakra will open. And indeed, this is like this samadhi or aha experience of inner or outer mental creativity. And it's transformative. And if the heart chakra opens this way, our heart will not only be open for romantic love, but also towards universal compassion. Yeah. And then, of course, it comes again, the final stage, manifestation. So as in mind-body healing, manifestation is not complete with just the rebuilding of the physical representation, the software needed for proper functioning of the organs involved. So when the remission has taken place, the patient has to try to bring to manifestation the transformative universal compassion towards all. And otherwise, the heart energy will contract once again with very disastrous consequences. So in other words, again, when supramental heeds your call and teaches you a new trick, you have to take the lesson seriously and try to leave it as far as possible. Let's call like really embody that lesson of the archetype. So again, this quantum healing of the vital of diseases at any chakra then opens the chakra, and the egoic expression of feelings will be transformed into universal expressions. And when we creatively heal, for example, a root chakra disease, Muladhara chakra, if you heard, our feelings of fear will transform into confident friendliness and even courage. Quantum healing of a sex chakra disease will transform the sex energies of sexuality and lust into respect for the self and others. So quantum healing at the navel, will lift us from this false pride, competition, or unworthiness that we find there to true self-worth. Or at the throat chakra, quantum healing would transform this feeling of frustration or repression. You cannot express an emotion because of so many things, and egoic freedom of speech to real freedom of self-expression and a great creativity. Again, all these poets, the geniuses, they have a great opened throat chakra. Then when we speak about the third eye, quantum healing here will transform this egoic confusion and ordinary clarity, which is still something, into intuitive supramental understanding. Okay. And finally, if a crown chakra disease is healed by a quantum leap, the leap will take us from the usual crown chakra preoccupation with kind of the identity that includes the subtle as well. And you saw in the Christian churches, for example, all the saints, which are described with the great halo around their heads. Of course, at this level, which is not even a chakra, it's much more than a chakra, we speak about this ultimate state of being the saint, right? And with a great aspiration and complete communion with God. Right, so now just a few words as an application related with the healing of coronavirus, which is, of course, a crisis that we are in it, all of us, right? So when we live by quantum principles, a crisis presents itself with new possibilities to choose from. And we have two options. One, we learn how to use our power of choice in order to allow transformation, growth, even leaps of health and integration, no matter what. Or two, we choose not to choose which is also a choice actually, waiting for it to pass, and we live in fear. We watch TV all the time. Yeah. So we contract more and more, and eventually we get sick, of course. So quantum healing, again, as a reminder, it's also a form of preventive medicine. Yeah, if you understand all the principles that are mentioned, and includes methods that will help us awaken, heal, and integrate all the levels of our being using the creative process. So again, it's also part of preventive medicine that puts in practice an important fourth idea, which says that it's much better to prevent than to heal. So there are methods to strengthen our immune system. We mentioned it a lot already. And this will allow us to fight against even a conventional contamination. And also, they are offering us a great chance to avoid disease in general. So now, from the software side, dealing with the coronavirus situation entails 3 aspects. 1, to strengthen our defense, our immunity. 2, to strengthen the organs, especially the host sites of the virus, especially the lungs, right? And 3, to strengthen the vitality of the whole vital body. Of course, not to forget are the important mental and emotional aspects related with all this situation, all the conflicts. Yeah, there are many. If you speak about New German medicine, there are many, many conflicts which are involved in this crisis. I'm not mentioning them, just for example, the loneliness, which is a big one. But again, not surprisingly, the mental aspect of when you are dealing with this coronavirus situation arise from the breakdown of our daily routine. And moreover, most people are busy, already people, and they are not used to be with themselves, not even be with their wives or, locked in a house. So all these mood swings, even at work, whether outside or at home, but taking care of business outside, the culture of emotion suppression, work to keep mood swings at bay, but alone with yourself, if your job allows you to do it from home, then the mood swings will haunt you. And of course, you go to the refrigerator more often than not to keep anxieties away. And you may also be suffering from what is called abusity. People who have child abuse in their development history and traumatic memory as a result, they have a tendency of overeating and getting obese. So these tendencies and others may come back in a hurry. Okay, and of course, then there are the relationship problems, because today people never have the opportunity to learn about the quantum science of relationship, especially intimate relationship. Okay. So it's all on the job for most people. And of course, if we live alone, we suffer from loneliness because we never learn to love ourselves. And what is there to love, right? Sometimes most people's psyche is full of so much emotional garbage, and the culture doesn't teach us mental hygiene, unfortunately. So again, some of the mental issues are the same as the physical vital. How to institute this proper hygiene of your brain, organ software again, how to love your partner and also yourself, immune system issue, and to reduce the stress created by too much anxiety, giving rise to too much sympathetic nervous system activation without compensation by the parasympathetic. So we have to balance them back to avoid the buildup of stress hormones like cortisol in our body. So the immune system, again, is our defense. And when we say that, we say it straddles at the heart and the navel chakra. And at the heart, of course, we speak about the crucial thymus gland, which distinguishes between the body's molecules and foreign molecules and kills off the foreign molecules, right? So the conscious way to think is that the thymus gland distinguishes between me and not me. Like, I see you, you are not me to me, and then my body's immune system will defend me against you. So, but suppose I love you, I include you in what I feel is me. So what happened is my immune system has been put in momentary suspension. That's what Amit calls it. That is suspended immune function. Okay, so it's not all the time fighting something. That's why love. Yeah. So for its well-being, again, this immune system needs this continuous suspension, and it gives it rest. So just like the neocortex. Yeah. Wherever there is experience, wherever there is a self to experience, there is also a need for rest. And there are, in quantum science, we speak about 3 chakras where we have this experience: the neocortex, the heart, and the navel. So the organs of these chakras, the neocortex, the immune system, and the gastrointestinal system, need rest. How do you do it for the gastrointestinal system? Of course, fasting or intermittent fasting or anything, but you need to do that. So back to coronavirus. And the preferred host, again, is the malfunctioning lung. Malfunctioning implies that the hardware, software, physical, vital connection has gone awry. And if the lungs are healthy, the virus does not get its preferred host, and the effect will be mild. So the first quantum preventive healing hint here is how to improve the vital software of the lungs. Of course, the lungs are related with the Anahata chakra. Yeah, remember I described about the chakras and the main organs. Anahata chakra, the heart chakra also. So a do-be-do practice, which involves the breathing called pranayama, will work miracles and strengthen the lungs and in fact all the organs. Okay, so alternative deep inhaling, and then the organs burst into function chakra by chakra as you inhale and supply oxygen to the organs in your abdomen, chest, and throat. So this is the do phase. And then you deliberately hold the breath for a few seconds, and that's called kumbhaka in Sanskrit. But again, it's the be phase of the creative process. And then you exhale slowly. The oxygenation at the organs progressively stop functioning, stopping the movement of vital energy, and to repeat. All right. And we find also in Qigong, of course, different ways of breathing, which include also the knowledge of acupuncture point. And remember always that when we use quantum creativity, you start with setting up the intent, of course. And together with that, we can also start our day, for example, with sending love and compassion to all beings in the world, including to ourselves, right? So that can put us in a state of a little bit more expanded, you know, and eventually even inspired, yeah? So then there is an important point in the Qigong tradition, which can be stimulated. It's a corresponding energetic meridian. The point Zhong Tang Yen, I'll show you. So it's in the center of the chest, and with the thumb, yeah, it has to be pressed from down upwards 36 times, or even beaten, kind of. So you see it on the left in the middle of the chest. So it's simply a point which you can stimulate, like on the skin. You need to do it with the thumb, and of course put the intent. And 36, that's how they say in Qigong. So it will be painful if you're pressing it right now. So you can do it breathing normal. When I say normal, it means that you're relaxing also the abdomen, engaging it in your breathing, and simply massage the point, even if it's painful, 36 times. Right. So let's say that you did that. Then another very beautiful way to activate the lung meridian, you see in the right, the lung meridian main point. So from where it starts, you don't need to know exactly where, but the way is to simply beat all this meridian. Like kind of, you can keep a rhythm of 3, and then you go up. You're not just touching yourself, you know, it's a bit, and you will feel pain, but it will truly work and activate beautifully this lung meridian. You need to do it on both hands, and then in the end, you massage also this point. Yeah, you see it in the picture. That, for example, this exercise, beating the lungs meridian, is very indicating to prevent and even to treat respiratory problems, because a cold that reached in the body at the lung level, so it's easy treating this way. So it cleans and opens the chest. If you feel that you breathe heavily, you can do this exercise and you will see immediately that you are breathing easier. Yeah. So again, you end with the massaging the external nail point. They say 12 times. Yeah. And you do all this tapping 3 times on each side. That's an exercise if you want to do it. And then there is another way, so we can stimulate various reflexogen areas which correspond to various organs. For example, the hands, So you can beat the palms, for example, and you can even beat the tip of the fingers and in between the fingers. And you can check online that picture with the reflexotherapy, what to do in the palm. So even massaging the palms, will help a lot. All right. So this is, of course, it's a very simple example, just to give you some practice. And there are many practices. But back to the main subject. So if the immune system is healthy, it will succeed in killing off mild attacks. And even if the lungs are not so great, but the immune system is healthy, there will be complications, but sooner or later, the immune system will succeed. It's just a matter of time, and the patient will survive. But the fatal situation is when the lungs are not healthy, neither is the immune system. And then when its weak response is not helping the lung defend itself, the immune system will go berserk. So it overfunctions, goes into overdrive, and it is this overdriven immune system reactions that eventually kill the patient, right? And if one more thing I have to tell you from the New German Medicine, that great fear will attack the kidneys and the lungs. So think about that. The kidneys in the Chinese medicine, it's very clearly related with the energy of life. And the lungs, already. So if you maintain great anxiety and fear, these organs will be affected. So you need to work with these things. And now the next quantum preventive healing hint is to keep the immune system from malfunctioning, to give it, again, the needed rest. And the recipe is love. So meditating on the heart is a good technique. We can recommend a simple meditation on the heart for 2 reasons. One is to be familiar with the cells in the body, centered around pure feeling. And 2, meditating on the heart chakra will give you a quick experience of no locality. And, right? So no locality is immediately taking you towards expansion. And expansion, obviously, is the opposite to contraction and disease. Yeah. So there's also another interesting symptom of coronavirus phenomenon, which is this fatigue all over the body, which is due to the general disconnect of the living hardware and software. And this is an indication that coronavirus actually intrudes on all the organs in the body. So we mentioned already how coronavirus, by depleting the body of vital energy, will produce this silent hypoxia. So this fatigue all over, it's another fallout. So again, the third quantum healing hint is to keep all your vital software in dynamic balance, and to be creative about caring for your vital body, all of it. So bottom line is that we all have the potential of completely healing ourselves, and that we also have the duty to do it, because we are indeed connected with each other, and what happens inside of us, it really reflects into what's happening in the world, and the other way around as well. But what I feel and I perceive is that in this moment of time, we need to manifest this freedom of choosing the best for us and for all this planet, and manifest especially that real fraternity that makes us human, not coming out of all these games of competition, right? And just survival-oriented way of living. Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed that presentation by Valentina. She's a remarkable teacher, has so much to share, and we are fortunate to have her present for us. I'd like you to, if you can, please join us again Thursday next week, when we will have an interview with the Buddhist teacher Ajahn Sona, in which we will explore American Buddhism, reframing Eastern principles for the Western world. I'm sure it will be interesting, as I am doing the interview for that one. So please do join me next week. In the meantime, stay safe and be well. Good night to you.